Hey everyone, Snazzy Chapeau here, back with more My Little Rodeo, Friendship is Clumsy, with another CMC episode entitled Appleloosa's Most Wanted. An episode that, well, hold on. Some of you seem to have gotten the impression that I didn't like Bloom and Gloom simply because I didn't find it as good as the other episodes. That's not true. I did like it. As for this episode... Look, I'm not normally a negative guy. I joined the analysis community because I thought it needed some positivity injected into it, but this week, that was tough. Don't click away, don't expect a super angry rant. This is not a video of me complaining. I'm going to voice my criticism first, and it's a pretty big one, but then I'm going to explain why I still think this episode has something worthwhile in it. Are we on the same page? Well, even if we aren't, I'm starting. Let's get the one big negative out of the way first, and boy is it a big one. This episode is a real clunker, specifically from a narrative perspective. I suspected early on that Troubleshoes was likely innocent, and this episode would be a semi-rehash of bridal gossip with the moral of not judging those who are different still intact. Turns out I was half right. Sure enough, Troubleshoes is just a klutz, albeit a surprisingly articulate klutz, and I saw the solution to his problem coming from a mile away. But these elements bring with them the main thing I want to discuss. Troubleshoes has bad luck. In fact, he thinks that bad luck is his talent, and he's clearly upset by it, as it prevents him from being a part of the rodeo he so desperately wants to join. By the episode's end, we learn that his true calling is to join the rodeo clowns, being a humorous slapstick element rather than a serious one. This shows us an interesting idea, and the main thing I want to talk about. The idea that a talent can be misinterpreted, even outright ignored if it doesn't fit what you want. It's not as far-fetched as you might think. There are many people out there who have taken too darn long to figure out what they want to do in life. They spend their youthful days living in the moment, figuring they have plenty of time to plan for the future later. Then one day they wake up in the midst of an existential crisis, realizing that they are now adults and they are not where they want to be. Even if they live comfortably and have little to complain about, deep down they realize that they've missed their true calling somewhere, and fear that it might be too late for a change, leading to depression and pessimism, much like what we see in Troubleshoes' character. However, he also misunderstood the context of his cutie mark because it conflicted with his vision of what he wanted. To demonstrate what I mean, here's a little hypothetical scenario. Suppose you want to be a writer, but not just any writer. You want to be a great philosopher, a wise man revered by all, counselor to kings and queens, the man whose thoughts will change the world. You write your first book, a serious, introspective meditation on the responsibility of power and knowledge. It gets published, and everybody hates it. The thing is considered pretentious and dull with a clunky style and barely sells because those who did read it are telling everyone else not to bother. Even the few who think you might have a few good things to say think you've done a poor job saying them. Your attempt at becoming a philosopher has failed. Then, while your friends are commiserating with you, perhaps you notice them laughing at everything you say. Even strangers nearby are chuckling. In that moment, you realize that you have a knack for humor. You have always been regarded as funny, but you never thought to pursue being funny because you thought it would interfere with your serious work. Then you wonder, what if you tried applying that to your writing? You still get to be a writer, you still get to say your piece, but now you're doing it in a way that flows naturally from you, and as a result, it is a success. This sort of thing has happened in real life. During some interviews, Gene Wilder said that he had originally meant to be a serious actor, only for his dear friend Mel Brooks to tell him that he was just naturally funny and should embrace it. That's what we see happen in the episode. Troubleshoes wants to be serious when he should have been funny, and it took him a while to figure that out. The message even has a semi-religious context, demonstrating the difference between what you want your life to be and what God says your life should be. Resisting it just makes you miserable, but accepting it gets you to the right place. Also, the theme of change is once again present, but presented differently. This is about changing your outlook on life and self-perception, both of which are necessary for Troubleshoes to fulfill his destiny and find happiness in life. It's played with more subtlety than the last couple of episodes, but it's still there, and I applaud the writers for how they handled it. Other thoughts. Brayburn sucks at babysitting. Seriously, I hope to Discord he never has kids of his own if he can't take care of someone else's. That's pretty much it. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Appleloosa's Most Wanted. A fairly predictable episode concealing a very intriguing concept. It's definitely the weakest one so far of Season 5, but I still respect the message it was conveying. I'm Snazzy Chapeau. See you next week. Really? Well, guess that means I get a vacation. I'll see you in 2 weeks then.